What are the principles of life? Are there core principles? And what if there were core principles that if we knew and understood them, they could improve our life? Today we'll explore that topic. You know, the word principle is used a lot. I think more so in our world today than maybe at any time in the past. And I remember growing up hearing that word used and never really understanding what it meant, because it seems like it was used in so many different contexts and in so many different ways. And I remember even asking people, you know, when you use the word principle, what does that mean? And I could never get a real clear definition. And so as I've kind of sought that out more and studied about that, the definition that I have come up for a principle is that a principle is a law. It's a natural law or God's law. It's something that exists and operates in the world in which we live, whether we know about it or not, whether we agree with it or whether we understand it. And an example of that is gravity. So before Newton had the experience where he figured out what gravity was, it already existed. We just maybe didn't have a term for it. We didn't understand what it was, but it still existed and it operated all of the time. Just as there are natural laws that govern the world in which we live, there are other laws or principles that exist that govern things like happiness and relationships and success. So before we come to that, let's go back to some of the natural laws. So what if I don't know about the law of gravity and I think that I can walk off of a cliff and that I will just float, or I can just walk on air? Because I've never heard of gravity. I don't know what it is. Nobody's taught me. If I walk off of that cliff, what's going to happen? Am I going to walk on air? Am I going to float? Or am I going to fall? Well, we all know that I'm going to fall. What if I've been told about gravity, but I don't believe it? You know, maybe it applies to somebody else, but not to me. And so I think that I can walk off the cliff and walk on air. What's going to happen? Same thing, right? I'm going to fall. Why? Because it doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. It still operates and is in effect. Well, what if I've heard about it, but I don't really understand it, and so I just don't think that it applies to me? Is it going to change anything? No, I'm still going to fall. Here's another belief. Well, what if I think that I'm a good person, and because I'm a good person, so I don't lie, I don't cheat, you know, I'm honest, I'm kind, I'm considerate, I help other people, so good things should happen to me in my life, and this law or principle of gravity shouldn't affect me because I'm this good person. Doesn't matter. No, if I walk off the cliff, I'm still going to fall. Doesn't matter if I'm a good person, a bad person, whether I do good things or not so good things. That principle operates and exists and functions the same way for everybody. Now, why is that important? You know, there's a movie called Passengers, and if you've seen it, there's a part where they're in a spaceship, and so the spaceship has machines in it that create gravity in the spaceship, so the people are able to walk around in the spaceship and stay on the ground and live and exist as if they were here on Earth. Well, problems start to happen in this spaceship, and sometimes the gravity works and sometimes gravity doesn't work. So there's a part where they're running through the hallway in this ship, and all of a sudden the gravity stops working. And so they're running along, and then all of a sudden they're floating up in the air, and then gravity kicks in again, and they come crashing back down to the ground. Well, what would our world, what would our life be like if there were no principles, if there was no constant, if there were no laws with which things operate? Without that, we would have chaos. without laws and principles, we couldn't learn because things would be changing all of the time. And so we live in a world that is governed by laws or principles. And just as there are principles that govern the natural world in which we live, there are principles that govern happiness, relationship, and success. And there are three core principles that I think are foundational to everything that we do in this life. And those three principles are accountability, choice, and control. And we'll talk more about those principles in other videos. But for now, what's important to understand is that we know that everything we do in life, we do it for a reason. We know that it's our thoughts and our beliefs that drive our behavior. And we behave in ways seeking for an outcome in life, which is we all want to be happy. You know, if we're uncomfortable, we want to get away from that discomfort. If there are things in our life that we don't have that we think will make our life better, we're seeking to achieve those things. The ultimate goal is we want happiness, we want peace, we want joy. Well, if our beliefs are not based on truth or principle, we're going to behave in accordance with those beliefs, and we will end up being frustrated because we won't get the outcomes that we want. But when we can know and understand what those principles are, and we can live our life in accordance with those principles, we will end up with the results and the outcomes that we want in our life. And we can achieve happiness. We can achieve success. We can have the relationships that we really want in our own lives. And so paying attention to what our beliefs are, looking at whether or not they are based on principle, striving to understand what the principles are that govern this world in which we live, those things will bring us the outcomes that we want. Those things will bring us happiness. Thanks for watching today. Comment below, visit our website, and join us in seeking to live a happier, more prosperous life.